Good morning to Madam Munzarina binti Ahmad Samidi. I'm Chu Zhenrong. My matrix number is 262553. Today, my group members and I were going to present about the title, which is the externalities of environmental pollution problems in petroleum industry. In economy, externality is referring to a cost or benefits incurred or received by a third party who uncontrollable over how that cost or benefits was created. An externality can be categorized into positive and or negative, and can stem from either consumption of goods or service or production. The costs and benefits can be both private, which is an individual or an organization, or social, means that it can affect society whole. Oil and gas are always most important natural resources in the earth, and they play unique role in the global economy. Alternative transportation fuels are expected to become increasingly competitive over time as the finite supply of petroleum resources is depleted and the price of fossil fuels are driven upwards. However, there are many negative impacts on the environment. The activities of oil and gas from most of the companies worldwide. Some processes influence the presence of waste materials such as uses dry fluid and driving cutting, like complex mixtures of clays and chemicals, are caused by the exploration and extraction of oil and gas. The waste normally discharge non-filtering from the platforms into the surrounding marine water. By using the standard procedure, the waste have to clean first before discharge into the marine water by various physical means, and the company needs to comply with the limits on levels of contaminants based on the legislation and regulation. If these disposed waste do not reduce well, the resulting environmental pollution may lead to radiation exposure, whether for people who directly in the gas and oil operations, the publics, the plants, and animals. These are several potential adverse impacts to the marine water due to the disposal of waste. Examples: can it pollute the marine environment, groundwater contaminants, and surface soils and water degradation. These assessments provide an overview on externalities of environmental pollution problems in petroleum industry, factors causing it, and the study of the effect of the environmental externalities pollution problems in petroleum industry with its solution. The scope of the studies are covered by several sections: factors of environmental problems in industry, solution to overcome the externalities of environmental pollution problems in petroleum industry, and effects of the environmental externalities pollution problems in petroleum industry.
Hi, now I'm going to present about the data analysis. The data that I'm going to analyze is the relationship between the production and consumption of petroleum by 1,000 barrels per day and the air pollutant index in Malaysia from 2005 to 2013. Overall, the production of petroleum in Malaysia decreased with a little fluctuation from 2005 to 2013. On the other hand, the consumption of petroleum in Malaysia increased with a little fluctuations along the years. During the years within the analysis, The maximum value of API fluctuated along the years but shows a significant decrease when it reduced by half from 390 in 2005 to 185 in 2013. The minimum value of API increased dramatically when it increased by fourfold from 5 in 2005 to 22 in 2013. In 2005, the production and consumption of petroleum in Malaysia was recorded at 726,000 barrels per day and 522,000 barrels per day, while the maximum API value of that was recorded at 390 and the minimum API value at 5. The reason for unusually high value of API was because of the forest fire in Indonesia, which causes serious haze to happen in Malaysia. As the haze problem was solved in 2006, the maximum value of API reduced dramatically to 162, while minimum value remained constant at 5. The production of petroleum fluctuated along the year when it finally recorded its minimum value at 570,000 barrels per day in 2013. As for the consumptions, it shows a different trend from production, where it still fluctuated along the year but end up increased to maximum point at 680,000 barrels per day in 2013. This shows that the demand for petroleum in Malaysia had increased along the years, probably because of the increase in the number of private vehicles on the road. If we ignore the maximum API value in 2005, which is 390, we can conclude that the maximum API value increased from year 2006 to 2013, where it is recorded at 5 and 22 respectively. Thus, we can conclude that the increase in the consumption of petroleum in Malaysia from 2005 to 2013 has caused the API value to increase. Thank you.
Good morning to Madam and my fellow friends. I'm Winshin Yi and my metric number is 262426. Now I will be presenting about the factor of externality of pollution in petroleum industry. The first factor I will present is refining petroleum can cause the externality of pollution in petroleum industry. Once the crude oil is extracted from the ground, it must be transported and refining into the petrochemical. The process of crude oil will be transported to end use of retailer. The overall well-to-consumer supply chain for petroleum product can be described as three components. The first component is upstream activity. It is involved the exploring for crude oil deposit and the production of crude oil. The second activity is midstream activity. It will involve the distribution of crude oil to the refiner, and they also include the refining of crude oil into sellable product, the distribution to wholesale and retailer, and the last component is downstream activity. It will involve the retail sale of petroleum product. And my second factor will cause the pollution in petroleum industry is burning gasoline. When the cars burns gasoline, they would burn it perfectly, but electricity, the internal combustion engine is not perfect. In the process of burning gasoline, it will produce various unhealthy gases such as carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, carbon dioxide, or the unburned hydrocarbon. So it will cause the externality of pollution in petroleum industry. And the third factor affect the externality of pollution in petroleum industry is oil spill. When we carry out the activity such as during drilling the oil and transport will may easily occur large amount of oil spill. Any spill of crude oil product such as diesel fuel, gasoline, jet fuels, lubricant oil, hydraulic oil will cause the pollution that may comprise variety of amounts starting with 1 or more gallons of oil and up to million or even hundreds of millions of gallons spilled. So next, I will presenting about the effect of externality of pollution in petroleum industry. The first, when the pollution in petroleum industry occur, they will cause air pollution. When transforming oil into the petrochemical or when burning the gasoline, it will release large amount of carbon dioxide to atmosphere and cause the greenhouse effect, such as it will produce the greenhouse gases such as carbon monoxide to atmosphere and increase the global warming. So the air will consist large amount of smoke and the quality of air will decrease by time. And the next effect, it will cause the water pollution. The water pollution usually occurs when the oil spill occur. It is dangerous to living organisms of aquatic such as fish in the sea or lake because the sea or lake will consist the chemical that produced by the oil spill. So the quality of water will also decrease. So the fish maybe will die, something like that. And the third effect, it will cause the acid rain. What is acid rain? It's a chemical process. Acid rain is a chemical process set in motion by the high temperature, which created by the combustion of petroleum that will produce the cocktail of toxic gases. When these toxic gases combine with water in the air, the rain will fall in highly acidity. By increasing the acidity, it will influence the forest filled with many dead trees. Fish in the ocean and lake will die due to the water in the ocean becoming highly acidic. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Good day everyone, my name is Lim Hugh Shin and my matrix number is 263666. Now I will continue to talk about the effects of externality of environmental pollution problem in petroleum industry. The point is creating serious environmental and health risks. The environmental impacts of petroleum are mainly negative. This is because the petroleum contributes a lot of toxic substances in air pollution, acid rain, and illnesses. The externalities of environmental pollution damage the natural environment but may also affect the amount and quality of the inputs available to be used for production. The oil and gas production releases will cause the air pollution and large quantities of greenhouse gases, especially methane CH4 and carbon dioxide CO2. These air pollutants will affect the human health, such as heart diseases and lung diseases, cancer, and smokers. The next point is wasting a valuable resource. The petroleum is the most useful and important natural resource in the world. However, the petroleum industry, which are included in activity of petroleum in the world, have brought a lot of negative impacts on environment. The development of oil and gas processes can produce a lot of waste bacteria. The emissions of waste bacteria can discharge directly into the marine water. Moreover, the petroleum industry must also follow the limits of level of pollutants based on the regulation and legislation. I I will talk about the solution to overcome the externalities of environmental pollution problems in petroleum industry. My first point is the government should enhance the environmental policy to reduce the environmental risk. In order to solve the environmental problems, the government has advanced and developed some important environmental laws and policy. This is because the environmental laws and policy can help to protect the environment and prevent the environmental pollution in petroleum industry. The primary petroleum industry law in Malaysia are Petroleum Development Act 1974, Petroleum Regulation 1974, Gas Supply Act 1993, Environmental Quality Act 1974. The Regulation and Legislation Act play an important role to ensure the environment is kept protected from the pollution and done by humans. My second point is the government can involved to environmental taxes or regulation and environmental subsidies. For example, the government can increase the tax to polluters such as carbon tax or tax on plastic bags. Tax directly cause the markets have to ignore the environmental impacts. A good environmental tax can increase the price of a good or activity in order to reduce the cost of the environmental harm to others. The government also can give subsidies to households or firms who are not polluters, such as giving grants for home insulation improvements. My next point is recycling and reusing. By recycling plastic goods, the factories do not need to spend as much money to manufacture the new plastic products from petroleum. Recycling and reusing cut back on energy consumption. For example, the industry of petroleum can save the cost to make the new bottles by recycling plastic bottles. Recycling and reusing the air and water pollution can cause less damage on environmental and save the natural resources. My last point is petroleum industry can use technology to find the methane and carbon dioxide reserves. As we all know, methane and carbon dioxide are gases, so they are hard to detect to react because they are colorless and odorless. The government and petroleum industry can also develop a saturine or create a dehydrator emission control. This is because the dehydrator can reduce the methane reaction, which removes the moisture from natural gas. That's all from me.
From the conclusion, we learned that the relationship between the production and consumption of petroleum and the air pollutant index API in Malaysia with the highest petroleum pollutant value is in 2013 with 726,000 barrels per day and max API 360. For the lowest production petroleum in Malaysia, 570,000 barrels per day are in both 2011 and 2013 as max API 150 and API 186. The highest petroleum consumption in Malaysia is in 2013 with 680,000 barrels per day as max 186 API, and the lowest petroleum consumption in Malaysia is in 2005 with 522,000 barrels per day max 390 API. There are three factors of environmental pollution problems in petroleum industry, which is refining petroleum, burning gasoline and oil spill. These factors showing that the pollution problems mostly caused by human behaviors. There are also 5 effects of externalities of environmental pollution, problems in petroleum industry. Examples of the effect of externalities in environmental pollution problems are air pollution, water pollution, acid rains, creating serious environmental and health risks, and also wasting a valuable resource. For solving externalities of environmental pollution problems, solutions to overcome the externalities of environmental pollution problems in petroleum industry are enhancing the environmental policies. Government get involved through environmental taxes or regulation and environmental subsidies. Recycling and reducing and petroleum industry can use technology to find methane and carbon dioxide leaks. In conclusion, our groups hope that the related authorities must play their own role for solving the externalities of environmental pollution problems in petroleum industry. Petroleum industry is one of the activities that can bring profits and benefits to peoples or for the economic growth. Without a doubt, we also cannot ignore the externalities of environmental pollution in petroleum industry, and we must try our best to preserve and conserve the environment. This effort is important to ensure that we must have a better future. That's all from us. Thank you.